when Mr. Keshe was talking about him being the Messiah, it's the same thing as saying, I wanted to help the humankind, Messiah-like. And it's under the terminology of technology. When you realize that this technology had so many layers, where the more you understand, the better it is. Like if you realize the magnitude of food, energy and health, just before the industrial period, there were many more colorful ways to use the skills from one individual to another. And those traditions got lost. The need of a human being got very primary. So primary that we can actually start to criticize ourselves how easy it is to describe the needs of a human being by the three elements of health, food and energy. You have no other. That's one of the explanations why the human being can look at himself in the mirror, declaring that we are quite primary. Especially when we discover that there is hardly any difference between the Maghreb unit, as we know it from the Keshe Foundation, and the human body. And that is of course a terrible challenge, because when you get to realize more and more through the consciousness that you are very Maghreb-like, so you start to compare this technology to the human body. But that is through the health sector, not free energy, obviously from the blue Maghreb unit and the white Maghreb unit, where you have direct reference to free energy from using electricity delivery. So you have one connection to the electric grid and one connection on the load side, and in between you have the Maghreb unit. When Mr. Keshe in Roma were talking about giving out free energy, he warned the governments, but at the time, 4 years in advance, he didn't get any response. Many of those governments would surely think that it was all a joke, or it was not understood. Most governments would be in that area, I think, based on ignorance. And when you have a culture based on taxation for any kind of energy, there is hardly any difference in the energy world when it comes to food and free energy from a Maghreb unit. It's just that the usage of the technology seems to be different. But now, 1 year later, this technology are coming together. And that's a big surprise. When the torsion field and the Maghreb unit works together, when MHU and the Maghreb unit works together, MHU meaning Maghreb Health Unit, works together in the same energetic field, it speeds up the healing effect. The reason for this is that you can start to peel the fruits from outside in and see the difference between details and essence. And this is extremely important in this technology, because we do have details and we do have essence. But the last time we heard about essence, we used to call it ether. Ether was the essence not only for the periodic system or periodic table, but for the life cycluses. And you have two mystery schools that is just in front of the nose of people, one from the churches and one from the technology, science. And if you put them both together, you do have health, food and energy. Plasma technology gives you the opportunity, a clear opportunity, to make a self-made choice. And that choice is so clear. If you have the possibility to help the human race, and if you have the tools, is your choice yes or no? It's that simple. If the question is yes, then in which way would you choose to be the clown? Trying to understand something that you may not understand. And so the tools are strange. We're talking about metals, we're talking about a correct understanding of how we create the nanomaterial, as much as what is it good for. And we're talking about spaceships, we're talking about health, free energy, and we're talking about the body. And the body seems to be a secret to us. So, just as an example, when Keshe was in Rome, he just said to the ambassadors that very soon, or rather next Christmas, you will be out of work. The reason for this is because if you have free health or access to free health, energy and food, then you don't need the frontiers, or you don't need any ambassadors, because essentially an ambassador's work is to present the difference between one life source coming from one part of the country to another and make business out of it. But this has not happened. We are still very, very few compared to 7 billion people taking care of plasma technology. And this is something to work hard with, because when we're talking about distributing this information, it gets hard and complicated, and it doesn't need to be. It's just that when you have plasma technology, word by word, plasma and technology. Technology is very few people who understand the terminology of technology, and an even higher rate of people who have never heard about plasma. So already in the beginning we have a challenge. The truth about how we tricked ourselves and how we've been tricked, how we are so good to self-abuse, to make the difference between what you must, what you want to do. It's the difference today between a dream and reality. In this technology, you have the dream and the reality mixed up. The dream seems to come closer and closer to the human race with knowingness. And the reality seems to be very discussable. Everybody wants to know their own reality and the reality that we are sharing. In quantum physics we call it collective reality and individual reality. It's important to understand that in quantum physics you cannot mix them up, because something is happening to a common logic and reality when you are several people watching the same thing or observing the same thing. That when you are an observer and you become several observing the same thing, reality are clearly changing. That's why I'm saying that reality is our freedom to put as much individual information into reality and create your own reality.